Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing the iPhone 11 Pro for you. I want to test it out and see if it's as pro as Apple says it is for photographers especially. I am going to be doing a fashion shoot today with a beautiful model. I'm going to be testing it out, seeing how it performs versus my Sony a6400, which is a similar price point camera. So I was kind of going to see if one of them performs better than the other. Is it worth getting a separate camera over the iPhone and so on. So stay tuned, and before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the little bell button to not miss any of my future uploads. Here, it's all here. I'm gonna unpack it now, and then yeah, it in one hand is gonna be fun. Oh, maybe not that bad. There we go, and this is the phone. The new iPhone 11 Pro has 3 cameras. They're all 12 megapixels, and they are the super wide lens 13mm 2.4, the 26mm 1.8, and the 52mm equivalent f2. I personally went for the smaller model in midnight green because I really love the color. Also, I knew straight away that I wasn't going to be able to use the wide angle. It's way too wide at 13mm to shoot any sort of people or beauty or anything like that. So I just settled for shooting with the telephoto and the standard wide angle. Okay, so I'm going to be testing it out on my Lightroom app, because on Lightroom I can do RAW, and I can set up my shutter speed, my ISO, my white balance, and my exposure. I can't set up my f-stop, which is kind of interesting. You can't really change it in any of the apps, but I can also set up my lens. So I'll be going between the wide angle, the super wide angle, and the telephoto. So I'll stick on the telephoto now. I'll see what it's like with the settings. I might go shutter speed 1/800, ISO 125. There we go. White balance will do, just auto is fine. We'll see. Okay. So I'm checking it in DNG. Quick editor's note, I would definitely recommend that you guys shoot in an outside app like Lightroom or one of those if you want to have a better quality of image, more texture and more skin details. There's definitely a huge difference between the Lightroom DNG files and the normal files coming from an iPhone. If you do, however, want to have a smoother skin, then definitely just use the iPhone camera. It does definitely smooth out the texture quite a lot. So if you have any acne or anything like that you're dealing with, then it's definitely the way to go. I have the smaller Pro. It was around 1,200 pounds if I'm correct, which is a lot for a phone. The 6,400 that I have is closer to 1,000 euro, I think, if I remember well. So it's actually cheaper than the iPhone, but obviously here you have the usability of the iPhone and just using it for your social media and everything. So let's see. Okay, and let's see here. Perfect, beautiful. So I'm definitely enjoying the fact that this is a DNG and I can like do my own settings here. I tried to use highlight as well, but unfortunately I can't switch between lenses yet. That's beautiful. So I'm on 100th of a second, ISO 125. Nice, I love that. It's really nice. Okay, so I'm shooting on the a6400. I have my kit lens on. It's the 16 to 50 mil. It's like the cheapest zoom kit that you can get, but it's really good. Maybe if we can actually get one, because it's kind of nice and backlit now. If you were maybe just like here, kind of a thing, and just like sitting down like that, that'd be pretty nice. I can feel the heat of my phone in my pocket. It's getting very nice and toasty, which is slightly concerning considering it's not really that warm, and I can only imagine if I was in Bali, this thing would be on fire right now. It would burn my leg, true. That's gorgeous. It's definitely brighter and clearer, but That's nice. And chin up a tiny bit. Perfect. Beautiful. So at the moment, I feel like this guy is still performing better. However, saying that, I feel like if you don't necessarily take photos for a living or need it for, like, you know, I use this camera mostly for vlogging or for capturing my behind the scenes. If I didn't have that and I was just taking photos for myself, I feel like this could be sufficient. However, would I switch from Sony to this? Probably not. I'm definitely enjoying the telephoto lens, and I'm enjoying the fact that I can change the settings in my Lightroom app. I'm also interested to see, because they are going to be DNGs, so they're going to be higher quality files. How is it going to look as well? So at the moment I'm shooting on f5.6, ISO 400. I'm shooting on the kit lens still. Gorgeous. Yeah, that looks really beautiful. Okay, and let's see how this guy goes. So this one is just the wide lens. It's in the app. Okay, I'm changing to telephoto. That's nice. Beautiful. Okay, let me put this guy down for a second. Just want to get the people out of the shot. Beautiful. Yeah, when you're trying to get people out of the shot, it's not very ideal because a lot of them and the background is not very blurred. For this next one, I wanted to get the model to walk towards me because I wanted to have some movement and see how does the iPhone handle it. I wanted to see if there's going to be any shake, is it going to be sharp, and so on. And I have to say that I was pretty pleasantly surprised. The photos are still very in focus, even though I was walking backwards, shaking my phone like crazy. She was walking towards me, so there was quite a lot of movement. And to be honest, there isn't that much blur. Everything is nice and focused. There's still a very good amount of detail, so I have to say I'm very impressed. Nice. Yeah, you see, I think the iPhone has the advantage here where it has such a wide dynamic range, but it does make everything look a bit more gray. That's the price you have to pay for. Beautiful, but it's definitely not as contrasty as your standard camera. That's beautiful. That's lovely. Beautiful. Yes, love that. Beautiful. Let's just try and get you here, like direct backlit, because there's like those shades there. Yeah, much better. This particular setup was pretty tricky in terms of lighting because it was very strong and very direct towards me, which created very, very strong lens flares and light splash. So I created a little lens hood using my hands, and this way I minimized the spill and made the image a bit more contrasty looking. And what if you open your legs up the same way? Yeah, perfect. Yes, I like that. And look at me. Beautiful. What is this? Flash is disabled. The phone needs to cool down. That's disappointing. Okay, and I'll go this one. I have to say there is something really special about iPhones and shooting in direct sunlight. There is something about the way they capture the light and the subject that just looks so beautiful, and I know it from all my previous iPhones that I had. It always performed so well in direct sunlight, way better than in the shade or in backlit. So I was super excited to test it out, and I have to say I was not disappointed. The highlights in the skin were absolutely beautiful. There was no harsh shadows. The blacks were slightly bit more on the grayer side, but it helped keep the image much more balanced than the Sony image, which helps a lot if you are not sure about your camera settings and you might need a bit of help in balancing, because it is much harder in Sony or in Canon to balance those highlights and shadows and get them correctly.
Severely overheating. I have a notice saying that I can't use the flash anymore because it needs to cool down, and it's just very slow. So not as pro as I would like it to be. In this kind of a scenario, it shouldn't be really overheating that much. I mean, you know, considering we are in London, not in Bali, I can only imagine how bad it will be in Bali, considering the temperatures there and how humid it is and so on. So this is pretty disappointing, to be honest.
For our last location, I really wanted to test out some close-up portraits. I knew this beautiful place with those beautiful roses, and I thought it would add something really nice to the image, kind of like a beauty style photo, because I do shoot a lot of beauty in my work. I knew that the telephoto itself wasn't a close enough lens. I think it's just too distorting. I think it's more like a 35mm. It feels like that anyway. There's quite a lot of distortions though.
Maybe if we have your face kind of like closer to this. Yeah, beautiful. Gorgeous. Yeah, that's really pretty. I think that one of the problems with the iPhone is that even the telephoto, it's just not a real telephoto. It's not that close. It's definitely not an equivalent of a 50. I think it's more like a 35. So when I'm trying to take close-ups, it's still not beautiful. Still nowhere near as close as the other one. I guess I could take increase it, but then you lose the quality.
I had a good amount of detail in the shot. I saw the eyelashes and the skin texture was preserved, so I was pleasantly surprised. It still definitely lacks quite a lot, and the telephoto is not really a telephoto. So for a beauty work or macro work that I'm doing, it doesn't really cut it as much. And as I said, I would stay away from the zoom feature because it's not a top quality of image. But overall, I was relatively happy. As I said again, I struggled with the lack of bokeh in the photos. It seemed slightly flat, and you could tell that it was taken with an iPhone, and I think that's the main issue that I have with this phone, that you don't really get a nice depth of field in the images. I was kind of staying away from using the zoom throughout the day because I feel like when you start using the digital zoom and you shoot in JPEG, you really lose quite a lot of quality. The images become grainy and so on. But I did eventually cave in and I took some photos with it because, as I said, the distortion just wasn't cutting it. And I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. The zoomed image wasn't super grainy and the quality wasn't horrible.
Okay, so final thoughts. I generally really like the iPhone. I think it's a big step up from my 8 Plus that I had. I think it's a big difference. Even though it's a much smaller phone than the 8 Plus that I have, it still performs really well. It has a bigger screen. The quality of the image is absolutely amazing when the surroundings and the weather is good. So like, let's say in direct sunlight, it looks absolutely amazing. However, would I switch from a, let's say, Sony to this? Probably not, just because I do need a bit more bokeh, I do need a bit more of a depth of field, and I feel like this didn't really deliver as well I would have hoped to. It was overheating quite a lot as well, which is very concerning considering that we are in a country that is not particularly super hot right now. Yes, it was sunny, but it wasn't super hot, so it was kind of concerning. All in all, you definitely can take beautiful photos on your iPhone if it's something that you're considering, because you don't necessarily want to splash out on your camera. If you're, let's say, a makeup artist, or if you need some really strong behind the scenes, then this camera will be perfect for you. I definitely recommend it. Would I switch from my full frame or cropped frame camera? Probably not. I will probably keep my equipment and just continue with that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.